Okay, John?
Yep.
Very good. Okay. Hey, man, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it. I know this got set up at the last minute by Chip. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, man. Well, first of all, I've seen you before many times.
You're like, I want my money back.
No, actually, the last time I saw you when you played Trees and you did that solo show, just you and your guitar.
Oh, the acoustic thing, yeah.
Dude, that was awesome. I mean, we still talk about that. Some of my friends that were there. That was a great night.
That's cool.
Man, I can't believe you're in this band. To me, John, I mean, you're the second vocalist, right, for this Daisies project?
Yeah, they started with a guy named John Stevens, who played with In Excess.
Right.
And
I remember him.
Yeah, I mean, John's a great vocalist. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. I just got a call. They're like, hey, we need somebody to go to Cuba. And then I was in.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
That quick, huh?
Yeah, but, I mean, there was some sort of a thing. John was kind of going through some things in Australia. He couldn't, I guess, leave the country or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they called me and asked me to do Cuba. And I went, and then while I was in Cuba, they're like, would you be up for doing another record with us? And I go, yeah, sure. And it's just been nonstop since.
I tell you, man, personally, I think adding you raises the bar in the band, visually and vocally. I mean, bands like the Dead Daisies, to me, is one of the few bands that's still keeping rock alive, the rock that I grew up with. But so many changes in the band. How does this band compare to some of the other projects that you ventured in? Who's the real leader in the Dead Daisies these days?
It's David Lowy, the guy that started it with John Stevens.
Okay.
It's his thing. But, honestly, there's a bit of a misconception about this whole thing. And I think, it's where David was in a couple of very popular bands in Australia. And obviously John Stevens in Australia is like, he's like a household name there. You know what I mean? So these two guys get together, they write a bunch of songs, and they went into the studio, and they basically hired session guys, and they did a record, their first album. And, they were... at that point they have the record and they're like, well, let's do some gigs, So they ran into Marco somehow and Richard Fortis at the time, and they started putting something together. John Stevens wanted keyboards, so Richard got Dizzy involved as well, and they started putting this thing together, and they kind of did some growing. They had a drummer that didn't work out from Australia. So then they got, I think John Tempesta filled in for a few dates. Then they got Brian Tishy. Mm-hmm. And, and the unfortunate thing is, I mean, if you really think about it, the popularity, they had almost instant popularity in Australia because of the bands that they were in. So all their growing was done in public. When that drummer didn't work out, they got brought in John Tempesta. It was like, and then Tempesta had to go back to the Cult, and, in comes Brian Tishy. So all of the growing has been done in public. It's kind of ass backwards if you think about it. Most bands, they go through all their members and changes, lock into something, write music, get a deal, go, and then go from there. But this was backwards. Now, a lot of the names, because it was kind of loosely thrown together in the beginning to go out and do some shows, Marco couldn't do some, there was a few shows that Marco couldn't do. Mm-hmm. So they got Daryl from the Stones to come in and fill in for Marco.
Yeah, I remember that.
Daryl did about dozen shows or whatever it was, a tour. And then he went back to the Stones. Marco came right back again. So a lot of those names that are on the list are people that have filled in for somebody for one reason or another. The first tour I did with the band, we went to, after the Revolution record, there was a few shows that Brian couldn't do with us with Kiss. because he had prior commitments. So we asked Tommy Clufetos, and Tommy came in and filled in. He did the shows. Brian came back. Tommy left.
You know, the way you're explaining this, it's like a revolving. This band is like a revolving door. I understand that Dave started it, and he knows, most of the strings.
But now it's set. Everybody's happy with Brian, Doug, Marco, David, and myself. And David says, it was a journey. We brought up people along on the journey, and he goes, but this is the lineup. I love this lineup. We're making a lot of noise with this lineup, and he goes, this is it. There was a lot of growing in public. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
this is something that I told John, because I interviewed Marco and John in August of 2014 when they were playing with opening for the Kiss tour. And I basically referred to the band, they said the band Dead Daisies, to me, refers to all the past job bands that everybody in the band has had. They're kind of leaving it behind and forming this new band, and since then, now, there's still the progression of the lineups being changed. I'm not saying that it's going to change. I think it's a supergroup the way it is right now, and I really hope you guys keep it together. Here's a kind of a funny question, a fan question from our Facebook page. Some girl wants to ask, what shampoo do you use to keep your hair so luscious?
What do I use?
What shampoo? What shampoo products do you use to keep your hair so luscious?
You know what? It's funny. My wife has a hair salon in East Nashville, and so it's like whatever little gimmick thingy, flavor of the month she brings home. I know for a while, like, she was using that, I don't know, something, it's made by a guy named Kevin Murphy.
Right.
So I was using that for a while, and but it's whatever. If they like my hair, it's my wife's fault. If they don't like my hair, it's still my wife's fault.
I see.
Whatever.
What hair tips can you give a guy with long hair? Because I know a lot of guys don't do it anymore, can't do it, but the ones that do have trouble saying, man, because they always ask me, I got thick hair, and they always ask, what do you do to your hair? And I tell them, well, I don't wash it that often. Maybe every 3 or 4 days.
You know what? Honestly, that's the thing. Like, it's funny. I kind of went full circle. My first wife was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got off the rails there. I dated, like the models and the dancers, and I did all that shit for a bit, and I came right back to a hairdresser again. But, honestly, that was the thing that both of them said. They're like, the worst thing you can do for your hair is wash it every day.
Right. I went 5 days without washing it this week.
I'll go 5 days, 6 days. You know what I mean? Now I wet it every day.
Me too.
I'll put it in water, but I don't wash it every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the key. So, yeah, that's good. That's good to know. So we're kind of on the same page in there. Hey, listen. So you've been in the band, what is it? 2 years now or one?
This February coming up will be 3 years.
3 years. Damn, that time flies. Okay, so you've been in this band. Tell me creating the new music moving forward. Explain the progression beginning with a new song. Who's involved in the writing and the whole process from the beginning to the end?
That's the greatest thing about this band. Like, I mean, every guy in this band could write a song by himself, but we don't. We're like, it's basically, we just keep it to riffs. So we'll just have riffs, and we bring it, and we set it on the table.
And you can laugh?
Everybody, no, we all sit there at the same time with a guitar in our hands.
Okay.
David, Brian, Marco, Doug. Brian's an amazing guitar player. So we all sit there, and we'll just start throwing riffs out, and then everybody just starts jumping on it, and we just start banging out melodies.
So what you're telling me, there's like 5 guitar players in the band, correct? Even Brian.
It's
right?
basically, we all sit in the room together, and we all start throwing ideas into this pile. And
that's different, man. That's different than most bands, let me tell you.
Yeah, and then Marty steps in, Marty Fredrickson, who also plays guitar and is an amazing songwriter. And then he comes in, and then he adds his 2 cents. So it's a very much a group effort. Everything that we do is done pretty much equally across the board, even with interviews. They're like, okay, we got 2 for Doug, 2 for Marco, 2 for David, 2 for Brian, 2 for John. You know what I mean? And it's unless someone gets requested, everything is equal.
Right.
And it's so it now turns out, like, because we do things that way, it's fast. Like, we will literally go. We're going to do another record. We start end of October. We're going to write for about a week, 10 days. And then we'll come down to Nashville and record an album.
Any chance of rehashing any of your old music or something you haven't done, something that you had in the past, in the
No. I mean, if there's a riff there or something like that, I'll throw it in and let them check it out, but none of the old, anything that's been recorded by any of our prior bands or past bands, we're just moving forward. Right. And if anybody wants to hear Hooligan's Holiday or Man in the Moon, I also have a solo band that I go out and I tour with, and they can come and see it then.
Okay, here's a question for you, John. I know you've been in the business, to stay in this business, you got to stay relevant. And from what I hear, from some of the fans, I've heard that you've played with other people. And one of them was one of your old bandmates, Mick Mars, and you guys did maybe some sessions together. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I did a couple songs with Mick, and we talked about doing more. But honestly, dude, between the schedule of the Dead Daisies and then my solo band, which that's what I was doing prior to the Daisies. I was out touring with that. Between those two things, I don't have fucking time for anything else. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
I'm like, I've literally been going with the Daisies is about 9 months a year, between recording, touring, press, all that shit. And then my thing, I'll do like another 3 or 4 months. It's like I'm finishing up with the Daisies in 6 or 7 days here, Labor Day weekend. And then I have my solo band. I did a live record like 2 years ago because I did the Motley 94 thing. That's coming out in October.
No shit. That's cool.
Yeah, so, it's crazy. And then while that's out, I'm going to be in the studio with the Daisies doing a new record. And we'll be done by the holidays, and then I'll probably have January, February, and March to go out with my band and go do some shows.
That sounds good. So the Mick Mars stuff, that'll never come out. I mean, that's just
he's
in the
doing
can.
a record. I don't know if he's going to use any of the stuff that I did with him.
Right.
Maybe not. I don't know.
All right.
But
good enough.
I know he's in the studio because I know one of the guys that he's working with. So
cool.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be awesome.
Hey, let me tell you this. The Daisies are known for playing a lot of covers, killer covers, iconic covers. How does one decide a song that hasn't been done yet and that you can say, you know what, we can make this our own? How do you guys do it?
I don't think we really even put that much thought into it. It's weird. Like, I mean, I know that, I think of the songs that we do, like, Midnight Moses has been recorded by other people.
Right.
American Band's been recorded by other people. We don't really, it's just, we do it, and if it sounds good and the audience is digging it and we get a reaction out of them, we just do it. I don't really think we don't put that much time or thought into it. The reason why we did American Band to begin with is we went over to play, we went to play for the troops in South Korea. And we just wanted to play a couple of those classic American tunes that they hear on the radio all the time. Right. So I think we did like We're an American Band. We did
Joined Together by the Who, man. I like the Who song that you guys do. It's really good. Oh, which Skinner song was it?
Now this was for the troops. We did like an Allman Brothers tune. I can't remember which one. Like. Then we did Sweet Home Alabama, and then we did We're an American Band, like at the end, like encore. Boom. Thank you.
Very cool.
Have fun. Be safe. Get home safe. And we left. And it went. So we wound up adding American Band to our encore that we were doing in Europe.
Very cool.
And it went over great.
Yeah.
So we said, let's just record it, put it on the live album, see what happens. And then they wound up doing a video for it on 4th of July.
Yeah, I see it. It looks great, man. Awesome.
Yeah, I guess it went ape shit. I think between like, you know, whatever video outlets they have out there, we had over 1 million views in like 15 days. It was
yeah,
crazy.
I think people just missing that old style rock and roll, man. Balls out, you know, here it is, long hair, loud. We missed that.
And we're not but the thing of it is that people, you know, kid around. We kid around with each other on stage. We just played here in Nashville a couple days ago, and you know, a bunch of my friends. I went out last night and had a drink with my wife, and I went to the bar, and you know, a bunch of my buddies were there, and they're like, "Dude, that was the most insane show I've ever seen in my life." Like the
Your
audience
telling you
was
this?
singing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just they were like, it was crazy. They're like, the audience was singing. You guys were joking with people in the audience. You guys are joking with each other. They're like, it was tight. It was loud. It was a sing-along, but it was fun. And it, you know, and I go, we just don't take ourselves all that serious.
Right. It's almost like being seen a bar band. You know, it's like you're seeing your local bar band playing up there. Yeah.
Yes. We're having a fucking great time. And you know what? Nobody realizes any more than us the difficulties of being in the music industry nowadays. We're just pinching ourselves daily about the fact that we're building up this much momentum with people, and we're still traveling the world, still doing, you know, viable records, and we're just having fun, man. We're like, you know what? Enjoy it.
Here's a question.
When I was in Motley, I didn't enjoy it. I
hear
you know,
so
we're just having fun now.
Listen, here's a music marketing question for you. I mean, music marketing a band these days. I mean, you know, everybody seems to have their little niche, especially with hardly any radio play with a lot of bands that don't get. How are the Daisies getting their message out there, and what social media are you guys using?
Everything, anything that you can leave a message on, we're on it, and that's got to be credited to our management. They were very aware that, like, our manager used to manage In Excess, and he's been in the business, started as a drum tech, you know, and worked his way up through the business. And he's realized that, you know what? There is no MTV. There is no radio. It's minimal at best.
Right.
So how do you get a band? How can we get a band out? How can we get a band? So they came up with this plan, and it's insane. We actually have a photographer travel with us all the time.
Nice.
And it's like there's pictures of us on stage, but then there's pictures of us while we travel. There's pictures. Right. I just went on Instagram this morning, and the guy took a photo of me with my El Camino that I refurbished.
Right.
So they did this whole thing on my car. And it's just their things to post on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever thing, and they do it like 10 times a day, and they just put it out there, and that just brings the fans into our world, and
that's it.
Gives us a direct connection to them.
That's the key.
And it's funny because we also do a free meet and greet every show.
Right.
We sit down with them, we give them a poster, and we all sign it, and thank you for your support.
Yeah, because not too many bands do that. You got to pay. I mean, anywhere from 75 to, you know, several hundred.
Couple grand.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
And that's what David, to his credit, David Lowy, our guitar player, said, he goes, I don't understand that. He goes, so the fans buy your records, then they leave their house, use their gas, pay for a ticket, come in, buy a T-shirt, and then you're going to charge them $1,000 to say thank you?
I know, it's ridiculous.
For a picture? Kind of crazy. He goes, we will never do that.
Wow. You got a Twitter handle, CrabLegs59.
Yep.
What's the meaning behind that? How'd that come about? 59, I'm guessing, is the year you were born.
Well,
maybe not.
Here's the deal. Yes. The Corabi, you know, I always have, for, you know, since Motley, it all started with Mick Mars. Mick Mars never called me John, never called, he'd go, hey, Corabi, you know, and then somehow Corabi was like, hey, Corabi, crab, you know, and it was like crabby.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So it's stuck since 1992. Mick Mars pegged me Crabby, so I just, like, I called it Crab Legs 59. That's the year I was born. All my publishing thing now is King Crab Entertainment. It's like,
nice.
It's just all crab stuff, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I don't have crabs, but my name just morphed into it, and I'm stuck with it now.
That's it. Hey, let's talk about your band, your two guitarists, Doug Aldridge and Dave Lowry again. Two great players for sure. Tell me the dynamics you share on stage with these two artists, and do they let you play guitar on stage?
I actually play a couple of acoustic songs. You know, and they've mentioned me, you know, possibly in the future. But you know, to be honest with you, like, I think, I mean, Skinner was able to figure it out where it didn't, you know, to me, clutter it up. You know, I don't need to. So for me, like, if I'm playing and singing, then I'm not giving 100% of my brain to whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm like, I'd rather just sing or play. You know what I mean? One or the other. Like, I can do it. But to me, then it's like I'm giving 50% of my brain to my playing and 50% of my brain to the vocals. And at this juncture in my life, at my age and the amount of damage that I've done to my my cells in my brain, I don't really have a lot to play with here. So I'll just stick with the.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair answer. The rhythm section, Marco Mendoza, Brad Kitchen, both powerhouse musicians. Have you ever played with them or any of the other Daisies in other either projects or jam sessions before?
You know, the only one that I had played with was Brian. Well, prior to that, it was Brian and Dizzy. But Brian's the only one, and it's just random. We used to just jam every now and then at a place called the Cat Club in L.A. And Brian and I and a couple of the other guys, Eric Dover, a guy named Stefan, and Derek Sherinian, actually were asked by Eddie Van Halen to come up. He was doing some huge party at his house, massive party with a giant stage, and he wanted us to back him.
Wow.
So me, Brian, and the guys, Dover sang. I played guitar with Eddie, and Stefan played bass. Sherinian was on keys, and Brian played drums. And that's, you know, had a blast. And I had done some recording at Brian's house as well.
Very good, very good. Hey, where are you calling home these days? You still in L.A.?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, Nashville.
I guess apparently most of the other music, the remaining music world is also here too. So it's great. I've been here for about 12 years.
Oh shoot!
And this town is like blowing up. So like everybody lives here now.
I've had friends moved in 11 years or so. That is it's a nice part of the country too. I noticed your tour is going from Texas to the West Coast and then back to the Midwest. Kind of shifting back and forth. You know what? I have a couple of days off. We get done in Vegas. I have a couple of days off, and then my wife and I, we have a bike rally that we're doing in Ohio. I call it the Heat Riders Festival. Right. That's coming up. That's cool.
Yeah, and then we're doing one in right at the Harley plant in Milwaukee. And,
you ride?
That's called the Hog Festival or Hog Rally.
Do you ride?
I do ride. I'm not going to ride to that though, because basically I just fly in and I've just been chosen right before I left to go on tour. I bought kind of, I don't want to say it's a tour bus. It's a motorhome, a coach, but a diesel. Like it's literally the size of a tour bus.
Right.
And I've been chosen like get in and take a trip. So I just told my wife, I go buy a Harley vest. You're going to be my biker bitch for the weekend. We're going to go up. We're taking the motorhome. And so I told the guys, I opened the slide, put the awning out, turned the TV on, and I just ordered like vodka and beer and barbecue. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Break it in.
All right, well, listen, man, we're looking forward to seeing the Gas Monkey show tomorrow night. I'm going to put this out today on social media, get some people out there. Let people talk about it. It's going to be a great show, John. We're going to dig it.
I hope so. I hope everybody comes out. I've always had a great time in Dallas. It's been a very good time, except for when I played with Motley. I guess we rubbed a few people the wrong way there. But
yeah, I was at that show, the one in Dallas in 92, 94, 94. Yeah, I was there. You guys brought people on stage to play around during the acoustic set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
we kind of butted heads with the Eagle,
right?
And ended up being a big hullabaloo, and I got on the radio and I just argued with the guy and whatever. It was stupid.
Well,
but we're back.
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens. Hey,
yeah.
Really quick. Oh, well, you know what? I interviewed this band just the other day. They're called Red Van Fleet. Have you heard of them? Young band out of Michigan.
I love that band.
Isn't it great? I love it. These young kids still carrying the torch of what I consider real rock and roll. Yeah,
I was talking to our manager. I go, dude, let's do another run in American Connector or whatever. Let's call those guys and let's make it happen. You know, the other thing is they seem like really nice, sweet, young, Christian boys that.
Well, the thing is, John,
we're all sitting there going, oh man, we can ruin you guys.
You're not so far off, because when I talked to Jake, I mean, I asked about influences and the music scene and what they were exposed to. They said, dude, we've been stuck at home listening to records. That's their upbringing. They're also listening to old blues and the classic rock, and but not really jaded by anything else other than their music right now. So yeah, they got a good chance of being something big if they keep it together. Being as young as they are, three brothers.
Yeah, as soon as I heard them, a friend of mine sent me the tape, sent me a song. And she goes, you got to check this out. And I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, my God, these guys are great.
I know.
She goes,
they look like
16, 17 years old.
Exactly.
Hey, guys, this is John Corabi from the Dead Daisies, and I am telling you, we just did an awesome talk here, and you are hearing it on Jam.